Hello, it's Josh here from Racing to Profit. Hopefully you can hear me. Uh, you won't be able to see me this time. I'm on a new kind of piece of recording kit. I'm on my laptop and thought I would just try something a bit different. But you get to hear my dulcet tones, so there's always a positive in these parts. Um, I thought I would do another video on sectional timings, and this one, having been spent some time getting used to them, is going to use the sectional timing suite of tools, I suppose, within the superb Gigi's Gold. Here's the race card. I'm going to try and do this video in about 15 minutes. I'm going to focus on the 12:45 from Yarmouth on the 3rd of June 2020, and I'm recording this on the Friday, so that was a couple of days ago. And hopefully this particular example will just give some indication of the future. As always with sectional times, you're trying to use them to just try and add some more information, or how I'm using them in this example, trying to add some more information about how a race was run, how the horse performed in the race, whether they raced efficiently or inefficiently, whether we can mark up their performances for the future, what it may tell us, and just adds to our level of thinking about results, especially on the flat. To try and help us really moving forwards, I suppose, to identify how good horses may become, to identify value bets in the future, and actually when looking at horses' past performance, trying to work out if they had excuses or why they may leave a past performance behind, or why they may build on an impressive performance last time, and whether or not, for example, they may still be well handicapped. So this is the card from Yarmouth, which you can see in front of you with all its various different bells and whistles, which make these the best race cards in racing, in my humble opinion. But I'm going to jump to the results section there. I'll click that results tab, as you can see, and we get all these kind of different dashboards and colours and various different things in front of us. That's clicking these little chart sectional running lines comments over. I can remove all of that. In the future, in kind of a month or two's time, or a couple of months' time, I'll be able to look back at this race, and you can use the future form and see how races are working out. You can do that within the race cards or within clicking on the horses' names themselves, but I'm not going to go into that today. What I am interested in is the sectional times. I'm not going to explain the mechanics too much. Matt's written some excellent articles, kind of a Clock Watcher series and various others. You can use the search bar on Gigi's in the top right, which may explain some of these things. I will do to a point as I go along, obviously, so you can understand what's happening. And I'm kind of, as with my previous video, learning as I go along also. To start with, I'm going to click all these little boxes along the top, and I'll explain what they are: the chart, the sectionals, running lines, comments, which is populating all of these kind of the result below, and I'll explain as we go. As you can see, I mean, it looks a bit different throughout the races, so it took me some time to work out what's going on. But all of this ability to click all of these different sections up here and to drill down in different horses, these running lines, which I'll explain, does make this a far better piece of kit in terms of usability and comparability, easy for me to say, between horses. You've kind of got opening, middle and closing sectionals here with the OMC. I'm going to use the call points, which if I click that, you can see this is a 10 furlong race. You've got the start to 7 furlongs, 7 furlongs to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 0. We've got this chart. First of all, I'm just going to, this chart as we've got, I'll just go down. There's various different ways you can sort this out, which I won't go into necessarily this time. I may do in future videos. I'm going to use the sectional percentages by furlong for this particular chart. The first thing to say is all of these different races have a different level of kind of samples, I suppose, and past samples, and not everything that impacts these times and the colours, therefore, are kind of linked to the par time for that particular course and distance. And obviously, the bigger the sample, the more confidence you can have. But for now, this is what we have here. So there's some caution with these results, as kind of explained in my first video in terms of using the colour coding. green generally kind of means even, but you've got descriptions there, quite fast through to fast. They're the overall race percentages and the kind of race sectionals as they played out, and you can see how they relate in terms of the race sectionals to par. You then get, when you come down to the horse, you can get the horse, per individual horse sectionals in relation to the race and obviously the par. So we are looking at, well, I'm going to look at the first horse here and try and explain some of this information as we go along, as I tick around to nearly 6 minutes. The thing I want to point out really is that the first 6 in this race are probably worth noting. It's a 3-year-old only handicap, and they all look like they've got a touch of ability and should be well ahead of their marks. Obviously the John Gosden horse shows, kind of demonstrate that on the track. But why do I say that? Well, what we have here is a group of horses who, with all these green indications here, spent the first part of the race setting even fractions, but then had the ability to really quicken, both in relation to the race par and obviously the race finishing speeds, and indeed the par for the course and distance. And you can, the kind of orange and red really indicate that these horses were able to put on the turbos late in the piece, kind of from 4 furlongs out, and the winner went very fast, as did Bodyline. And basically what this is indicating is these horses had an ability to pick up speed and to kind of sprint really off an even pace. We have seen examples in the past, on Monday, of the early part of races being very slow and then horses being able to pick up speed, which is some positive as well. But I think, as you can see by this UP, which is an upgrade score, kind of what do these sectionals indicate about whether the horse's performance can be upgraded, and this the front kind of 6 here can be, because they were able to pick up and post some pretty fast sectionals off an even pace, and horses that can do that, I suspect, may kind of turn out in time are worth following, but we shall put that to the test. And you can see by these in-running lines how fast the horse was off the leader at any given point within the race. So the winner started 5 lengths behind, 4 1/4, 2 1/4. At this point here, from the kind of 3 furlong to 2 furlong out, was kind of 1 length off the leader, and obviously he kind of won and became the leader. And you can kind of go down and see that. The kind of horse I want to focus on in particular, I mean, Make It Rain was interesting, dwelt at the start, and towards the rear of midfield, going okay. And when you watch that, you see this fast, went fast, and very fast also. He ran into a bit of trouble, got stopped a couple of times, and if he had a clear run, the winner was just kind of putting on the turbos just as he started to hit trouble and get going. I should think those two may have had more of a battle come the line. Not impossible. So Make It Rain probably won't go missed really next time in the market. But like I said, I think the front 6, given their ability to quicken off even fractions, may be some indication of their ability, and this could be a race worth following. As I look down here, you can see Union for Roger Varian and Jack Mitchell in the plate. He's one that interests me because he was held up in last, and if you look at where his position was, he was 9.5 lengths off the leader at this stage. The eventual winner was only 5. He was then 8 lengths and 5 lengths off. The eventual winner only 4.5, 2 1/4. That just shows you, when you watch the replay, you can kind of put your eyes on him and see where he was throughout the race. Started quite slowly, dwelt, held up in last, off even fractions, and he was up against horses which, as we can see here, had the ability to really quicken off that pace, indicating they've all probably got some ability, as I said, and probably most, if not all, have a fair bit in hand of their mark. But he went very fast. If you look at these kind of sectionals from 4 furlongs to 3 furlongs out, he ran in 11.18 seconds. The eventual winner did it in 11.32. So of all the front 6, he ran that kind of 4 furlongs to 3 out, the quickest of any of them. 3 furlongs to 2 out, he did in 11.09. That was also the quickest. So from 4 furlongs to 2 furlongs out, he ran that section of the track quicker than any of those horses in front of him. But of course, his starting position was generally further back. He was a bit short of room, 2 out. So he went very fast then got a bit short of room, but he was still putting in some very fast fractions and sectionals compared to the par. And so I think that marks him down as a horse of ability that's very well handicapped. It could be argued if his starting position was a bit further forward, if he'd got a better start, if he had the ability to kind of race further and, let's say, upsize the John Gosden horse, some of those sectionals would suggest he may well have beaten him. I think that's, as I'm on my own learning curve, as you know, I think that's the kind of thing that may suggest. But in any case, I think the ability to perform as he did there and race so inefficiently, as arguably most of these horses have done here, given how the race panned out, is something to note. Like I said, there's the pars, kind of the confidence level should be treated with caution in terms of the sample sizes. That's the kind of thing I want to focus on. I'm ticking around to 12 minutes. I will just focus on this chart to finish off. You can kind of toggle on and off all of the horses, so you can see every single horse in relation to par. You can toggle that off. I can click the par down here. I can pick the winner, make it rain. I'm interested in, for example, in Union. So we can just see here, they're all quite close together, really. Union's this maroon figure here, and you can see how he went faster during this section of the race, and then he kind of tailed off a bit. If he was a bit further forward and was able to race as efficiently as these other two, he may have been even closer than he was come the end. As it happens, he was beaten 4 lengths. But that gives you an idea of how this race played out, I think, and how you can upgrade their performance. So moving forward, when I see Union, I will have in my mind kind of these sectionals and how he performed, how he quickened in this part of the race. I'll have in mind that he is a horse which can clearly quicken off an even pace, and that he was in a race where generally the front bunch didn't race too efficiently. And he was up against, of course, unexposed 3-year-old only handicap, plenty of horses from good yards, plenty of horses that run well. But in a race which may have more even fractions, and that where he is able to race more prominently, for example, is some indication that he does have the ability to quicken, like most of these in front, and that a mark of 81 may underestimate him. I think that's what I'm taking from this particular set of sectionals that you can see in front of you. And you can see how they just outperformed the race par here, and therefore how the front bunch of this could be pretty smart. Like I said, the race par, the sample size isn't the biggest, but it could be that this bunch of horses, and the front 6 in particular, might be worth keeping on side, given the performances that they put on, that they kind of demonstrated here in this example. And yeah, so I think with that said, I could go on and look at various different other points and click through, but this video would end up taking 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or much longer than that. I think for now, for trying to keep a video short and to focus on some points of interest, that is all I want to stick with for now. So hopefully this demonstration of this particular race using the excellent Gigi's tools, which I will get to grips with more over time, has been useful for you, and moving forwards it will be interesting to see how this race pans out, how many of these horses may quicken off a steady pace in the future and go to victory, just how far some of these horses can progress up the handicap ratings, and whether the John Gosden winner, maybe Union, maybe Make It Rain or others, whether any of these can progress past handicaps into patent company listed and beyond. But we shall see. But with that said, this is Josh saying thanks for watching and bye for now.